Hi everybody, this is Dan Stolberger. Welcome to this week's KFIR Middle East update. It's the week of September 10th. We're all holding our breath to see what may take place over the weekend on 9/11, our memorial there. But in the meantime, let's take a look at what's transpired this week. Let me just give you our news bites real quick. By the way, grab the PDF PowerPoint. We've got a lot of information this week, and I'm going to only be able to highlight certain things. That PDF PowerPoint will give you photos and the entire articles that I'm commenting on. So let's begin with perceptions. A lot's going on as far as threats from Hamas to Israel right now over a variety of reasons, but here's the bottom line. Hamas smells weakness. They think Bennett's weak, they think Biden's weak, and whenever terrorists sense weakness, it's an open door. And so the threats are pouring in. From the Israeli standpoint, and as well, it seems like it's a mirror. Where's America stand? Where's Israel stand? We're not as solid. The perception is that we're not as solid as we've been in the past. In fact, some are calling for Biden's impeachment because of Afghanistan. The coalition government in Israel, paper thin. Israelis look at their government and think, it wasn't that long ago that we were a potential superpower. Now look at us. We've got this debacle of a prison break, which we'll just refer to here in a moment. We've got balloons flying over, starting fires from Gaza, and it doesn't seem like we can do anything about that. We've got COVID. Now we're going on a third booster. Now some are saying the fourth. What is going on? Perception. Weakness. So threats are being ratcheted up. We'll have to wait and see. Taliban came out with an announcement this week, a willingness to establish relations with all nations except for one. They actually came out and said, we will establish relationships with the US, but not Israel. No big surprise there. And then on our college campuses, in our backyard, we're seeing increased anti-Semitism. A high number of Jewish students have personally experienced anti-Semitism, quote, like never before on our college campuses. This, my friends, is the world we're living in today. An increased hatred of Israel and the perception of a weak U.S., and a weak Israeli government. Well, last Friday, these are our major articles, there was a attack. The Israeli Air Force attacked a weapons depot outside of Damascus. Precision rockets from Iran heading towards or for the use of Hezbollah were taken out. Now keep in mind the Syrians now, because of Russia, have air defense mechanisms, and they launched rockets after the IDF jets that actually exploded over the Med. Shrapnel was found in Tel Aviv. And so not only do we have Lebanon and Gaza, now we have tensions arising with Syria as well. That is for Israel. The biggest threat, these precision rockets are a major threat to Israel, but the one bigger than that, of course, is Iran. And what is taking place today, my friends, if I had an hourglass, I would turn it over and say, there ain't much time left. There's some red lines that Israel will not allow to be crossed. In fact, Biden said he would not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. The facts is that the Iranian regime is anywhere between 8 to 10 weeks out from obtaining the weapons grade materials that they would need for a bomb. Israel has taken dramatic They're accelerating preparations to deal with this situation. And the US actually just came out and said time is running out for Iran to revive any kind of nuclear deal. 8 weeks ain't that long. Well, we mentioned the prison break. Let me just say this is part of the humiliation that's taken place up in the north at the Gilboa prison, kind of outside of the Galilee. 6 high targeted, or I guess high valued terrorists escaped. 5 of them belong to the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. This is being hailed as a victory. Again, remember, where there's perceived weakness, terrorists will rush in. Hamas is celebrating and now threatening Israel. If they hunt these people down, they'll retaliate. There'll be another skirmish, war, whatever you want to call it, escalation. They're being hailed as heroes. It's a blight, it's an embarrassment. I know the Shin Bet well enough, as well as Mossad. These people will be caught. But what's going to happen? Another victory for terrorism. Bottom line here is that the Biden administration is expected to waive sanctions on the Syrian strongman Bashar Assad to facilitate an energy deal that will be Hezbollah controlled in Lebanon, for Lebanon's sake. The administration wants to waive portions of what's called the Caesar Act, which Trump set up, which applied wide-ranging sanctions on Assad for his war crimes. Again, but it's being torn up by Biden. It's Hezbollah is seeing it as a victory once again. The world is going to look at this as another one of these situations in which the U.S. has backed away from what they had proposed, and bottom line, another terrorist victory. Well, we've got all these different sort of peace plans that are being thrown out, and Israel's being pressured. Do you open a consulate for the Palestinians in Jerusalem? This is the Biden administration's pushing. I've given you a picture here in slide number 11 of the Palestinian peace plan. It's very simple. The only peace process that they will support is one that leads to the complete elimination of Israel. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. That, my friends, is the Palestinian peace plan. Oh, got to comment on this, the squad, our friends Omar and Rahib and the gang. The Washington Free Beacon on Thursday reached out to Omar and Tlaib and Cori Bush to see if they favor a global boycott campaign against Afghanistan or the Taliban, if they support cutting off financial aid to the country in light of its takeover by a terrorist group, and their track record with, of course, women. But the lawmakers remain silent. The hypocrisy of this. These are the ones that have backed efforts to cut foreign aid to Israel, citing concerns about the Israeli government's human rights record and the treatment of the Palestinians. Omar declined to comment on whether she supports a boycott of the Taliban, but she's gone on record to say that she's publicly opposed to U.S. economic sanctions against the Iranian government. Whoa. Well, I've got no words with that. Last up, roller coaster. You ready to get on the roller coaster again? I swore I wouldn't do this, but I'm on it. and I'm getting strapped in because Israel is now saying they're going to reopen their borders to tourists in about 2 weeks. Of course, there's a lot of stipulations, but if you know me, you realize I can't help myself. I can't help to get excited about the possibilities of once again walking that land. Ain't nothing like it, my friends. So that's our report for this week. Like I said, so much is going on, and we're going to still have to wait, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, pray for the peace in America these days. Who knows what plans are being hatched for 9/11? Who knows? With that, God bless. Shalom. Oh, and Shana Tova as we go through this 10 days of awe and preparation for Yom Kippur. Shalom.